So we've got a full studio setup here. In other words, we're working only with studio strobe, no other light. And we've got modeling lights which will show us what the flash is going to do, but they're much less powerful than the flash. So I'm taping this with the modeling lights, which are tungsten balanced, but the flash will be daylight balanced, so blue in relation to the light you're seeing now. The trick is to figure out how much flash we have. And oh, I should explain, this is for Studio Lighting Basics at the Photographic Center Northwest, and we are in the daylight studio. And today we're using the Speedotron power pack with 2 Speedotron heads. We're using it in a very simple way. We're just using one channel so the 2 lights are getting the same amount of power, and we're not going to mess with changing the power. And the main topic is going to be using the flash meter. So I have a Pocket Wizard plugged into the pack. I have another one here which would go on my camera, and when I press the test button, the flash goes off. Now, with the flash meter, when you have it set up in the right way, it will read the flash, and you can use that for your camera. So what I'm going to do is get it to expect a flash, and then I'm going to trigger the flash, and then I'm going to take a look at my reading, and it says that it's f2.8 and 7/10, but that's for a really low ISO. So I'm going to change the settings by pressing the ISO button and cranking it up to, say, 100 ISO, and doing the test again. So I press the button, it's waiting for the flash. I point the meter towards the camera because this is an incident meter. It's measuring the light coming towards our subject. Then I'll hit the test button, and now it's giving me a reading of f5.6. So that is what I should enter into my camera at 100 ISO, daylight balance. I'm going to do a close-up on the meter in a little bit to show you how these settings work. So this is the flash meter we have in the daylight studio. It's a basic Seaconic, and it's very useful. It's one of my favorite meters. The model number is L308S. To turn the meter on, you have to press that button for longer than you would expect, but then you get these controls. And the big thing is to choose the mode that you're going to be using, and we currently have it in the mode that I want to use, which is flash without cord. The next one is flash with cord, which is also useful in the studio. The next one is our regular f-stop and shutter speed setting. And then the next one after that is the exposure value system, which is also for continuous light, but often used by filmmakers and video people. Anyhow, we'll go back to flash. The shutter speed, oddly, doesn't matter that much, except it's a disaster if you have it set too high, because then it cuts off your image. So you want to use something slower than a 60th of a second. You can probably use 125th, but check your camera manual before you start doing that, or do some testing with your camera to make sure that part of the image isn't getting cut off. The f-stop is currently showing 0, but we will get the proper f-stop after doing a flash test. The other control you have is the ISO, and what you do is you press this button here and then up and down here, and notice I'm using a low ISO because this is flash. It's really powerful. Okay, So I have it set for flash alone, 125th of a second, ISO 100. Then with this setting, oh, and I make sure that my dome here is over the sensor, because this is what's going to actually be reading the light. Okay, so I've got a remote on the flash pack, another remote in my hand which you can't see. I'm going to push this button here, and this little blinking circle or polygon around the lightning bolt indicates to me that it's ready to catch the flash. So I hit the flash, and then it gives me a reading. And that reading is f8 and 5/10, so f8 and a half, halfway up to 11, halfway up to the next full stop. And all that information, the shutter speed and the f-stop, then have to be transferred into your camera. You know, just because you got the reading here, you got to get it into your camera before you can use it. Now, the other connection, I'll show you in the other mode, I'll show you in a second. So it would be this. So this are the two ends of a sync cord, which would connect your flash meter to the power pack. You could also use this to connect a film camera to the power pack as well. It's not recommended for digital cameras because the voltage involved may damage your camera. And so now I'm going to set this up. I'll be right back. So with this setup, I connect the sync cord here, and then when I press the button, the flash goes off. I don't have to use my remote to trigger the flash. So in some situations the cord is more convenient, particularly if you have to do a bunch of multiple readings to figure out if a background is even, or for copying artwork, stuff like that. One of the problems is that cord is often problematic, often doesn't connect well. So I think actually working without the cord and working with a remote is there's less potential frustration. But in some situations, this cord is a good deal. So once again, you need to take that reading and load it into your camera. And if the situation allows, definitely take some test shots and look at a histogram and see if you're capturing the information you want. And that's about it. Then remember to give yourself some time to pack up at the end of the shoot and get everything put away.